Hello, teachers. Welcome to this training. Actually, it's going to be a teaching demonstration, or rather a series of partial teaching demonstrations on using class activities with the ABC time curriculum in class. There are a variety of different activities in the class lessons, and this training will offer some ways to present the activities to students. But I won't be working with a live class here, so I will just share different kinds of activities with you and show you ways they can be handled when there are students in the class. So let me introduce myself. Hello. Again, I'm Robin. I often like to put my video screen into the main page here so students can see me clearly. They can see me pronounce words, they can see my face, hand, and body gestures, and they can see more clearly when I present realia or real objects to represent the words or concepts that we're talking about. So that's something that really enhances the class experience for the students and helps them attach visual ideas to the words or something visual to the words. Often what I'll do, even if there's not a space provided, I'll move my screen to the side somewhere that doesn't block what the students need to see so they can continue to see me as large as possible as we're going through material. I'm going to begin with a warm-up activity. So these activities are already designed to be engaging, but by how we handle these types of activities, we can make them even more fun and engaging for the students and actually do things that help them remember the concepts a lot easier, a lot faster. So in this case, the warm-up activity asks the students to sing a song, and there are several words in the song which students are learning or have learned in previous lessons. So what I'm going to do is show you how I would handle this particular activity, and you'll notice that some of the instructions already give instructors ideas. For example, it says go over the lyrics before singing with the audio. So I've pulled up the audio file here, but before I would go into the audio file with the class and listen to it, I would go over the words with the students and listen to them repeat the words back, give them a chance to pronounce the different words, be able to help them correct pronunciation if they're struggling with the sounds or the pronunciation of some of the words, and provide them with ways of remembering the words a little bit easier. So how I would begin an activity like this is by saying, "Hello, class, let's sing the classroom song. Are you ready? Let's go. Good morning, class. Good morning, class. Good. Good morning to you. I'm happy to see you. We're happy to see you too. Good job. Now, as I continue through these lyrics, again, if I'm seeing students not mimic my actions, I might pause for a second and encourage them to do so. Are you happy? Can you see me? Those types of things to get them to actually use their full body as they're doing the activity, which helps them to be more engaged in it as well. Another thing I would do is, as I'm going through the lyrics with the students, is hold up an object. I have a marker. Listen to them repeat it back. My pencil is blue. Listen to them repeat it back. So this will help them as they're trying to remember what the words are as they're singing along. I'll again use my little highlighter tool as we're listening to the lyrics in the audio file, which will help them, but sometimes they still struggle with the pronunciation of these words. So as I'm doing that, if I hold up a pencil or hold up a marker, if they've already attached these objects to these words here, it's going to help them remember that. And then with this activity, again, students would listen first, then sing, and then often what I like to do is after hearing them sing it once, give them a chance to do it again when they're feeling much more confident. So the second round, they usually are really ready to go in singing the song. So that's one type of activity in the warm-up activities that are often used in the class. I'm going to jump into another one by going into the cloud here. This other activity that I was going to show you is also in level 5. It's a unit 1 lesson, but this time it's in session 2. And it is part of the vocabulary practice. In this particular activity, students have already been introduced to vocabulary words. The instructor would practice these words with the students, and then later on, the students can get more practice by identifying the words and the pictures in various ways. So in an activity like this, the first thing I would do is simplify it. I might demonstrate what I want the students to do, and I want the students to circle pictures. So the first thing I'm going to do is say, crayon. Where is a crayon? Circle crayon. Ah, crayon. Can you find a crayon? Find a crayon. Raise your hand. Who can circle a crayon? And then I would let the students do the action. Proceed to do book and desk. Then we can complicate the activity a little bit more by doing it in reverse. So you'll notice there's another page where the students are asked to identify additional vocabulary. After asking them to locate the pictures after I say the words, I might do it in reverse. So this time around, I might say, I see a backpack. Backpack. Which word is backpack? Can you circle the word backpack? Who can circle backpack? Raise your hand. And then the students would then be called on to do the activity. There are many of these kinds of practice activities handled in various ways. Some are matching, drawing lines, circling, filling in blanks, all kinds of different activities. And again, instructors can complicate the activities a little bit more, make them more challenging if they're finding the students are doing very well with the simpler versions of the activities. I'm going to jump into more advanced lessons, level 9 lessons, and share with you some activities from level 9. In Level 9, Unit 1, Lesson 6 covers a science topic. And in Session 1, the warm-up activity is handled a little bit differently than the usual song and dance that we see in many of these activities. So let me share that with you. Here is the introduction to the science topic. And in the warm-up activity, students are asked to match items that are clean and items that are dirty. So in an activity like this, because it's warm up and we want to move quickly through it, it may be a good idea to put the students into groups or pair the students up and ask different sets of students to handle the clean items and the other set of students to handle the dirty items by simply drawing lines. And these students, again, they're more advanced, so they're usually very comfortable with this language. They would already know the words for most of these items on this page. Now, once they do that, again, that's just to get them engaged, to get them started and doing something and paying attention. But one of the main objectives is to have a talk with the students about what it means to be clean, how to stay clean, how to get clean. So before we move on to another activity, we want to solicit some ideas from the students on what it means to be clean, or for example, to point out the boy and say, what can the boy do to get clean? What can he do? How can we clean the oven? How can we clean the t-shirt? So there's another example of a warm-up activity, but now let's go into a different kind of activity, a study activity. Again, in the science unit or the science lesson, but this time it is session 2. And in session 2, students are presented with a series of videos to watch. But for an activity like this, it is often good, especially if you're going to be asking students questions, comprehension questions, to have the students go over those comprehension questions first. And again, students are usually pretty advanced at this stage. They can read the questions themselves. So I can back off a little bit and ask a student to volunteer to read the questions. Ask another student to volunteer to read the words that might help us answer those questions. And then we watch the video and listen for the answers. When we're done watching the video, again, I ask another student to ask the questions. And a lot of times what I like to do is put the screens of the students asking the questions on one side of the page, and then move the student answering the question to the other side of the page, again in a way that still allows them to see what they need to see on the page to answer the question, but it helps them to focus. And in a way, it helps keep the other students engaged as well as they watch these students handle the activity. Finally, another activity I wanted to share with you is in Level 9 as well, but this time it is in Lesson 8, which covers the concept of values and chores. In Session 1 of Lesson 8, we open up this file here. There are a series of things going on in this activity, and it can be handled in steps. So in an activity like this, I would ask the students to first read the different types of activities, the words and the phrases. Then I would ask students to describe what they see in the pictures and see if they can find the words to match the pictures, and they can actually move the words to match the pictures. For example, watch TV. So they would grab those words and move them over to the block under the TV. Once they're done doing that, the next stage in this activity is to help them begin to understand the difference between just general activities that we do, we may be at home, and compare them to what is actually a chore. So I would ask students to read the definition for chores. And begin to engage in a conversation with them and ask them, are all of these activities chores? Which ones are jobs we have to do, and which ones are not jobs, are fun activities, play activities, things like that. And once they do that, then they can begin to move into the house the ones that are actually jobs, activities that are considered chores. So that this is a several step activity, allows for a lot more conversation and dialogue and a lot of interaction with the students. So there are many more types of activities in the class pages, and I hope these demonstrations have given you some ideas on, in this particular case, to keep the students talking as much as possible and doing things, and kind of in the higher levels as a teacher taking a step back and letting the students do more talking by asking the questions and reading what's on the page and doing the things with each other. Where it was with the lower students, the lower level students, using a lot more TPR, hand, body, and face gestures, and making things really fun and interactive. So thanks for watching, and I hope I've given you some ideas here. Happy teaching!